Welcome to another episode of Jets Afterburners. Your host, New York Jets Down 16. And we have a very special guest on the road right now. We made half an hour time for us, the great Peter Schwartz from WFAN. Peter, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, and greetings from Sunrise Highway, stuck in traffic.
Isn't that the best? Sunrise Highway, there's, whether you're going east or west, there's always traffic there. It's kind of synonymous to the Bell Parkway.
Yeah, not usually. I'm on my way home from doing my my radio/YouTube show Sports Bash, which we do at our studios in Ronkonkoma, and I never hit traffic on this part of Sunrise Highway. So unfortunately, I'm guessing there might be a car accident somewhere up here. So if I seem a little distracted at any moment, just know that I'm trying to navigate my way through the traffic. So this should be an interesting interview.
Fantastic. And, you know, since I spoke to you last year, you are the only other fan that I know that has this jersey that I'm wearing right now, the original number 8, where all of our hopes were very high in 92, Browning Nagel.
Yeah. Listen, I was at that moment, you know, I was covering the Jets here and there. My first job out of college was Sports Phone. So I was covering some Jet games and practices for Sports Phone. And I remember being at Hofstra for the press conference when they, it was the day after they drafted Browning Nagel, and they had this whole big, press conference. They got the steal, and he's going to be the next quarterback. And listen, he had a great first game in Atlanta and had his moments during that rookie year, but for whatever reason, it just didn't click in. And yes, I do have a Browning Nagel jersey.
Just FYI, I spoke to Marvin Washington a week and a half ago, and he had said he's going to try his best to get in touch with Mr. Nagel and bring him on the show, because that's my guy, man. I know he's been given a really negative rap, but I will always be a Nagel fan. Now let's move forward. I'll
give you another Browning Nagel story. So
let's do it.
That year, I guess it was the 92 season. So I went down to visit my family in Florida, and I went to the Jets-Dolphins game in Miami.
Oh my God!
I got the tickets through the Jets. The Jets have a visiting section wherever they go, whatever stadium they're in. The visiting team gets an allotment of tickets. So the Jets were nice enough to get me 2 tickets in their allotment of seats. And as it turns out, sitting in the row in front of us at the game were Browning Nagel's parents. And I don't remember what the final score there, but Nagel played great in the game. I know he engineered a go-ahead touchdown drive, and then the Jets defense couldn't hold the Dolphins at the end. But I remember getting up and going crazy. Nagel completed a ridiculous pass, and I'm like, "That's it, Browning! Show everybody they're wrong." And the parents are turning around and laughing and smiling and everything like that. So I really, listen, we all wanted him to be great. It just never worked out.
Absolutely. And that's the one where he threw a bomb to Rob Moore, beautiful throw. Yes. And then the whole choke thing happened with the sign with Pete Carroll. And then, of course, in Jet fashion, bad things happen. But
it ain't easy being green.
No, it's not. Now, fast forward to the new number 8, our savior, right? Aaron Rodgers. Now, have we heard that before?
Yeah, we've heard it a few times. I remember hearing Neil O'Donnell was going to be our savior too when he came to the Jets. So look, I think everything was trending in that direction last year, that the Jets were going to have a great season with Aaron Rodgers. He had a good offseason. He went to everything the Jets, had, which was rare for him in his career. And he bought in completely to being a New York Jet and had a good training camp. And we saw a glimpse of what we thought was going to happen in that preseason game against the Giants last year. And then, it's like, somebody put a pin in the balloon, or more or less in his Achilles, and that was the end of that. But it certainly looks like he's, back to being, what we think he's going to be. He's working out, and he should be ready, I guess, full go for training camp. So listen, at this point, that's all you can do is believe and hope that this year will be better. This year will be what last year was supposed to be, and that is the Jets being, a playoff contender, and hopefully having a chance to, do some damage in the playoffs.
I think that's the aspiration, right? It's an all-in year, and there's a lot of talk between Jet fans. It's a 2-year window. It's a 2-year window. I couldn't disagree more. To me, this is the window. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is 100% invested in this team, in this organization, in the franchise. So is the GM. The GM, the head coach, I look at them at the point where this is not a lame duck season, but hey, prove it. You have everything at your disposal. Here it is. Joe Douglas solidifying 3/5 of the offensive line. You could even add the 4th with Olu Fashanu's draft, being 10th overall. To me, this is a Super Bowl or bust year. Do you agree or not really?
I would like to agree with that. Look, I think when you come into the season, you look at the Jets roster as it's currently constructed, and you have to also put the caveat of, if everybody stays healthy and everything goes well, yes, this is a team that will be in contention to win the AFC East, and this is a team that you would expect on any given day will be able to beat anybody in the league. And we're going to find out right off the bat, week 1 on the Monday night in San Francisco. And that's the other thing too. Oh my God, the Jets' schedule is so tough at the beginning. Well, it doesn't matter how the schedule looks. I mean, the schedule is the schedule. You're going to play these teams anyway. And why not find out right away what this team is made of? Why can't the Jets go into Levi Stadium and show the football world that they mean business this year, and this is a team that you should be reckoned with. So, listen, I do think, while I think we'd like to see this team take a major step forward, I do think we're looking at a 2-year window here. I mean, listen, Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old, and he has said he doesn't want to play just one more year. He wants to play multiple years. So I think in a sense we are looking at a 2-year window. If they don't win, look, let's be honest. If they don't make the playoffs this year, the whole thing's going to get busted open because Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh will be looking for work somewhere else if they don't make the playoffs. But if they make the playoffs and don't get to the Super Bowl, I don't know if that's, it's a disappointment, but I don't think it's a catastrophe. I think this team's got to be in the playoffs this year.
I couldn't agree more. And that's the thing. If you look at the schedule, besides the first game of the season, which I'm all for. I mean, if you remember in 98, we opened up the season at San Francisco. Our starter quarterback was the great Glenn Foley. And pound for pound, Parcells had that team ready. And if it wasn't for that Garrison Hurst, again, 99-yard touchdown run.
He's still running.
He's still running. He is still running. He's like, I think he's competing with Forrest Gump for the longest distance run. And to the point where, all right, you know what? Let's see what we can do. But even after the Niners game, you see some favorable matchups where seize the moment, because then you have the Titans, the Patriots that are they're revamping. We've waited 20 plus years to finally have the Patriots right where we want them, and hopefully we could sweep them. Then the Broncos, who, if you think about it, their quarterback situation is one of the absolute worst in the league. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, again, this goes back to the whole premise. If you believe you're a good team, go out and win your games. Doesn't matter when they're played, where they're played, what country they're being played in. If you're a good team, you go out there and you win the games. I'm going to give the service road a little try here, by the way, a little insight to my ride home. I think we're going to try the service road when I approach the exit. It's kind of like getting out of MetLife Stadium a little bit now.
Oh,
it's traffic, yeah. So, but look, play the games on the schedule. I look at on my show this morning. we took a deep dive into the Jets schedule. I'm like, look, there's games on this schedule that will be tough, but I don't think there's a game on the schedule where the Jets, at this point, with how they're constructed, can't go in and think they have a chance to win the game. You have a Hall of Fame quarterback. You have a revamped offensive line. You've got skill position players all over the place, a tenacious defense. Just go in there and win the game. And if you're good enough and you're going to be an elite team in the NFL, don't worry about when these games show up or where you have to go to play them. Just go out there and win the games.
Now, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What do you like the London games? Do you like the ninth?
No.
Why not?
This is not just about the Jets
right.
going to London. I just have a problem with the NFL putting games. We know why they're doing it. We know that there's a lot of money involved in it. But here's my problem with it. We're giving London and Germany and
Brazil
regular season games. Granted, they're not always the best games, but we're giving them regular season games. I'll just take London as an example. They've been going to London for years now. Now, I don't know if you like soccer, but I would consider myself slightly between a casual and moderate soccer fan. I like going to Red Bulls games, and I've been to some international games when they've been in the States. Here's the problem. When Manchester United or Manchester City or Arsenal or Liverpool, when they come on their tour of North America, yes, they'll get 80,000 stadium to see the B team with some of their star players, coming on in the second half as substitutes. If they give England and London real NFL games, why can't the Premier League come over to North America and to the United States and play a game at MetLife Stadium or play a game at SoFi or play a game at Soldier Field? We're giving them these very important regular season games, and we're getting the scrubs starting for Manchester United on in front of 80,000 people. So that's my problem with it. We're giving games to other countries, and we're not getting anything in return. Now, as far as the Jets going there this year, look, I'm going to watch the game, obviously, and it'll be nice to have bagels and football. Although I will tell you that a few years ago when the Jets played the Falcons, this is why I'm a little worried about the London game again. Watching the game that morning with my family, I had chest pains, and I had to get rushed to the hospital.
Oh my God!
I joked in the ambulance that I always knew the Jets would put me in the hospital. So I did not have a heart attack. It was just a little scare or whatever. But I spent the day in the hospital. So I was like, please, no more London games. I had a bad experience last time I watched the Jets playing a game in London. But I just, as a concept and as a theory, I just don't like the games in London, the NFL doing this, because we're not getting. Look, the NFL, their pockets are getting lined, and the owners' pockets are getting lined, but it's not fair. And here's the other thing too. Look at the Jets and the Vikings game going to London, right? Now, everybody raves about that Viking stadium, right? So if you were a Jet fan in the States and you were planning a road trip to go see the Jets on the road, and you saw the opponents, like, oh, you know what? I might go to Minnesota and go check out that Viking stadium. Now you can't do it. The game is in London. Now you have the Giants. The Giants are playing the Panthers in Germany. Now, I mean, a lot of ex-New Yorkers live in North Carolina. People are now transplanted New Yorkers in North Carolina. If you were a Giants fan and you were looking forward to seeing the Giants in Raleigh this year, now in Charlotte, that's not happening. Because now the game is in Germany. I remember a few years ago, the Giants played the Dolphins. I think that was in London.
Yes.
And my uncle, who is a diehard Giants fan, was looking forward to seeing the Giants against the Dolphins in Miami, and he had that ticket from him. So,
we're losing Peter again.
But if I was getting Manchester United against Liverpool at MetLife Stadium, I'd be happy about that.
And I completely agree with what you're saying. My whole issue is it just seems like with the Jets, with the NFL, they want to make it global to the point where it's kind of World Cup level, where they're going to have different teams all over the place. but not teams like, let's say, from Argentina or Colombia, but they want to have the spectacle of the Super Bowl year round. Like,
Yeah.
I hate it, but looking at what Roger Goodell has done with the NFL draft, he has revolutionized it. I mean, I grew up in an era where it was Saturday, 12 noon, you're hyped up the whole day, then Sunday, great, and it's done. This is the whole night of Thursday is the first round. And I look at this year going to Brazil, and it's just going to expand because we already also had it in Mexico. Now in Europe.
Yeah.
Now it's, I mean, where else? If it goes to, I'm going to say this one thing here, and Craig Carton said something very interesting about 2.5 weeks ago when he was on the show. He said, be careful that probably the Jets are going to be moving back to New York because granted, with Abu Dhabi funding everything for NYFC here in Queens, if they dabble with Woody Johnson and bringing them in here, that all bets are off. If Saudi Arabia gets here with that kind of oil money, it completely changes the face of the NFL.
You know, I want to believe that the Jets are going to come back, which I don't know if that's where you were going with that question, but I just, you know, again, from a global standpoint, I get it. There's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of football fans, American football fans around the globe. I just don't like the fans that we have here in the United States and also, you know, in Canada to a certain extent, you know, having the opportunity to go see their team play 8 or 9 times a year at home and having one of those games taken away because now the game is going overseas. So I just, again, it's like one of those things where I just have a fundamental problem with it. I understand it's not going away.
Peter has left the chat. Uh-oh. So I completely understand what Peter is saying here. It's because as a season ticket holder, no matter where you are, whether you're a Jet fan or a Vikings fan, you're missing out now because you paid tickets for this. And now you have to pay an additional fee to go across the pond, which I'm all for. I'm good with that. It's extra money. Oh, Peter, I got you back.
Hey, I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah. So I just have a fundamental problem with the whole, you know, games in Europe, you know, kind of thing. And as far as the Jets getting their own stadium, look, I would help them put the shovel in the ground, to be honest.
Hell yeah.
With you. It's like, and I would love them to have their own stadium. I'll believe it when I see it. I keep hearing about these, you know, opt-outs of the Jets lease deal at MetLife Stadium. Look, I'd love to see them out here on Long Island, where there was always some talk that maybe they'd build a stadium out here for them. I just don't know if it's really ever going to happen. You know, Woody Johnson built this magnificent, you know, training facility and headquarters there in Florham Park. That's where he lives. And I've had people say, well, you know what, when the Jets practiced in Hofstra, they went to New Jersey. Yeah, it was a pain in the neck for them to do back. I mean, that was like basically every game was a road game because they had to bring their whole operation to Giant Stadium. So why would they do that again? Now, why would they do the reverse commute of that? Why would they build a stadium in Manhattan or Queens or Long Island and keep their training facility in New Jersey? You'd just be doing the same thing that you just did years ago, going, you know, back and forth from Hofstra to the Meadowlands. So again, would I love to see it? 100% I'd love to see it. Do I think it's going to happen? I'm very skeptical about it.
I completely understand. Now, fast forward here, we have Buffalo after the Vikings. And instead of going through the entire schedule, I'm going to preface it this way. How do you see the Jets faring with the Dolphins and the Bills for the quest to be, you know, crowned AFC East divisional champions? Is it possible?
I thought for a second we were gonna do that old Mike and the Mad Dog thing where we go through the schedule and go,
no.
Win, loss, loss. I thought that's where we were going with that. But
you can give me a quick synopsis on it at the end. Sure. I look at them in 13-4.
Yeah, I listen, I think when you look at the landscape in the AFC East, I think it's right there for the Jets to win. I think on paper, again, it's on paper. I think the Jets may have the best roster in the AFC East. And at this point, I think you have to consider them. Now, look, I still think probably Buffalo will still be the odds-on favorite to win the division. But I look at this Jets roster, and I mean, listen, again, if everybody stays healthy and everything clicks the way you want it to click, I don't see why the Jets can't win the AFC East. I really do. I think, when you look at, wins and losses, look, 17 games, I don't think 9-8 will do it, but I certainly think, I think the Jets are capable of winning 11 or 12 games at least when you look at that schedule. So why not? Why can't the Jets, win the AFC East? In fact, I would be more disappointed if the Jets didn't win the AFC East than if they didn't win the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, you bring up a great point, because if you look at the schedule, the last 2 games of the season, it kind of places that scenario into its complete possible fruition. You have Buffalo and then Miami at home. Now, Buffalo is up north, and we might say, oh, it's going to be cold, this and that. But who better do you want playing in the cold, signal caller, Aaron Rodgers, who has played in the frozen tundra, that he had made his bread and butter there. Jets, Buffalo, Week 16. How do you see it playing out?
And that game will be at MetLife, or that game will be at
Buffalo.
In Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Oh, look, I'm sure there'll be a lot of Jet fans up there for that game. I think it's all you can ask for. A chance to go to Buffalo and either move in the first place or solidify first place. Listen. I had a lifetime of disappointment watching this team play. I want to, for the first.
We're losing Peter again. Peter, are you there? Yeah, I still don't believe that we put a man on the moon. There's no way that this is happening. Peter, can you hear me? Let me see here. I'm going to remove him, bring him back on. All right. But yes, just piggybacking off of what Peter was insinuating, yeah, this is a golden opportunity. The last 2 games of the season, if you think about it, where you do want to be in a certain position where you can win the East. It's been, since 2002, guys, that we haven't even had a chance to be AFC divisional champions. So at that point, I think he's going to be coming back on in just a little bit. And what I'm going to also just ask Peter is, because, again, he's a Jets historian, just like many of us are, the rivalry. I keep saying it show after show. The rivalry is back. The New York Jets versus the Miami Dolphins. And this is payback as well from when Pennington came back here, Pennington versus Favre in 2008, and won the East on our home turf. This is where we win. This is where we win the crown. This is where we become either a seeded number 1 or number 2. And I see the Jets being seeded number 1, having a 14-3 record, where we're going to be going against Cincinnati and KC. Cincinnati here at home, and then Kansas City out in Arrowhead, which is going to be a tough one. Again, it can go either way, right? A lot of Jet fans might be happy that, okay, you know what? At least we've reached the AFC Championship game. I wouldn't. I want to win that game. I've felt that already. So many Jet fans have felt going so close to the dance and not having the partner to go onto the dance floor and showcasing your moves. Right here, this is it. Granted, if health is all good and no issues whatsoever, I see the Jets going to the Super Bowl and playing either the Niners. Hey, Peter, we're back.
Hey, sorry about that. That's technology.
No, I like I said, I still have a hard time trying to compute that we did go to the moon.
It was easier to go to the moon than driving on Sunrise Highway.
I love it. So now, just tying everything together, last week of the season, here at MetLife, we bring on the Miami Dolphins, which, again, it's to be determined what time that's going to be, either if it's prime time or hopefully, again, I'm not a big fan of primetime games, but if that's for the AFC East division crown, again, not to bring up bad memories, but I still think of the 2008 finale when Pennington donned in Miami gear, came here to, I don't know if it was MetLife or Giant Stadium, whatever the case is, and he won the East. He won the East.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's time. Payback, man.
I think payback, no question about it. And you wonder if you'll have conditions. If that's a Sunday night game, then I wonder if you'll have conditions like that Jets-Bengals Sunday night game at the end of the 2009 season where it was freezing and the Jets beat the Bengals to get into the playoffs. So, yeah, that's what you kind of hope. The Dolphins had to deal with those conditions in that playoff game in Kansas City this year, and they were doing okay for a while. But, yeah, that would be unbelievable. I would wonder if actually that would be one of the few times at MetLife that the Jets would have a true home field advantage.
That'd be amazing. Now, as I said, I'm going to tie it all in. I'm going to give you my scenario going into the playoffs. What do you think about this? Round 1, Buffalo. Round 2, Cincinnati. Round 3, KC. Do we make it to the Super Bowl?
I think that would be very, very difficult, but you know what? I want to be an eternal optimist, so I would say, yeah, why not? Why not?
Who do you see the Jets facing?
Rematch of Week 1, San Francisco.
Any chance that you see, just for storyline purposes, Jets, Dallas, Rodgers versus McCarthy?
You know, that could be interesting. Again, but if you're the Cowboys now, again, it's one of those things where you'll believe it when you see it, when you hear how great these teams are every year, and then they never do anything in the playoffs. But I thought you were going to go maybe Jets Packers in the Super Bowl.
That's what a lot of other people are saying as well. Last night's show, one of our guests also proposed that one. These storylines are out of this world, and to me, the ultimate goal is whatever it is, whoever is lined up across from the Jets, win the game. Enough. This is over 50 years of turmoil. And yes, we've had our little hiccups of, Bill Parcells. And again, 99 was our year. If you think about it, that first game against the Pats, we just solidified the safety position with Steve Atwater. And then the Achilles happened. Last year, that nonsense happened at Week 1. This is the culmination of what every Jet fan has been waiting for the past 50 plus years. Let's make this happen.
Yeah, let me go back, not to drum up bad memories again, but let me go back.
That's all we got.
Yeah, well, let me go back to that 99 season opener. If Parcells had just let Tom Tupa finish that game, the Jets would have won.
And made the playoffs.
Probably, yeah.
Yep.
And they didn't realize what they had in Ray Lucas until it was too late.
Tell me about it. I love Parcells always, but the stubbornness bit him in the butt because he wanted to draft Rick Meyer over Drew Bledsoe when he was at New England. And he had that opportunity to get Meyer again, and that's exactly what he did with the Jets in 99. Like you said, if Ray Lucas, who was on fire when given the chance, I think we wouldn't have missed a beat. We would have gone right into the playoffs, and everything would have fell into place.
Yeah, but ifs, ands, and buts.
That's right, 100%. Now, Peter, I appreciate you so much for coming onto the show, making some time, even though you're on a hectic traffic roadway out in Sunrise. We thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, my pleasure. I've actually made my way onto the Southern State Parkway now, which is moving very, very well. So I'm very happy. And I always love talking Jets. So, anytime I can come on and share some miserable stories, I'd love to do it.
Sounds like a deal. You are always more than welcome to hop on. Peter, thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.
All right, take care.
Go Jets.
You too. Take care.
Production.